Okay, so this video is for numbers 40 through 46. We are using the graph at the top to answer majority of these questions. The first one says find the average rate of change from x equals -1 to x equals 2. You guys know that rate of change means slope. However, it's not a line, so that's why they're asking for the average rate of change, but we're going to solve it the same exact way. So when x equals -1, our y is 0. When our x equals 2, our y is 3. To get from -1 to 2, we have 3. And to get from 0 to 3, we add 3. So 3 over 3 just equals 1, which is B. Now it says function f of x is decreasing on which of the following intervals? Select all that apply. So the first thing I want to look at is it is decreasing from here to here. So this is our decreasing interval. And then from here to here is our increasing. And remember, we talked about it during class. Our increasing and decreasing intervals always rely on our x values. So we look here, our x is 0. So we technically learned it as it's decreasing from -infinity, all the way from the left, going down to 0. But in the problems, they just use your x values. So our x is everything less than 0. So A. Now they talk about selecting all that apply, which means there's probably another answer somewhere in there to throw you off a little bit. If you look, B is saying from -1 to 0, it's decreasing. So from -1 to 0, it is going down from -1 all the way to 0. So that's also an answer. Let's look at the next one, from 0 to 1. So when our x is 0 and to our x is 1, that's increasing, so it's not that one. And then x greater than 1 is not, because that is increasing also. Now 42 says function f of x is increasing on which interval? We already talked about it from here to here. So when x equals 0 and everything on. So x is greater than 0 for those points because we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way up. So I can say x is greater than 0, which is not A, that's less than 0. From -1 to 0, it's not it either. From 0 to 1, yes, it's increasing. And then x greater than 1 is also increasing, so C and D. Function f of x less than 0 on which of the following intervals? So when y is less than 0. So y is less than 0 in this area down here. So any of these points are all less than 0 for your y. So from -1 to 1, your y is less than 0. So we're going to say -1 less than x, which is less than 1. So B. It's all values between -1 and 1. 44 says the equation of the graph is f of x equals x squared minus 1, which we know. This is your parent function. It moves down 1, so that's why it's the -1 at the end. It says which of the following would shift the graph up 3 units and left 2? So we add 3 on to the -1, which makes that a positive 2. So I'm going to erase that one and that one. And then left 2 units, remember that's the reverse where it's a +2 inside the parentheses, leaving C as our answer for that one. Number 45 says, which of the following would flip the graph of f of x vertically over the x-axis so the vertex would become a maximum at 0, 1 instead of 0, -1? So we automatically know the flip would be a negative in front of our f of x. So let me just rewrite it down here. So now it's f of x equals -x squared. So I'm eliminating C and D automatically because these would not flip. They are both positive u's again. And then it wants it at a maximum of 0, 1. So I want my k value to be 1. So now I look, that's a -1, and that's a positive one. Our k is positive, so I'm picking B. Number 46 is a little trickier. It says if f of x plus 1 equals x squared plus k of x, what's the value of x squared? So I'm going to grab more paper to go over 46. So it says f of x plus 1 equals x squared plus k of x. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is look at my original, because this one goes back to the original equation up here. F of x equals x squared minus 1. What they want is for you to replace the x every time you see it in this equation with an x plus 1. So I'm going to rewrite this with x plus 1 instead of the x. You know that squared means write it twice, so I'm going to rewrite it twice. And now I'm going to distribute to clear up those parentheses. X times x is x squared. X times 1 is x plus another x plus 1. And then I rewrite that minus 1. Now I have x squared. Those two x's combine to be 2x. And a positive 1 and a negative 1 cancel. Which means my k is my 2 here. Because x squared plus 2x, x squared plus k equals 2. So k equals 2 is C. So those are 40 through 46.